It is another week, another fight night. I was originally going to do this video on like Thursday, but that's really glad that I didn't because that was annoying. Sorry. Um, Simply because there was news coming out from Thursday on about fighters dropping out. So two fights got scrapped off this card. Another two fighters got swapped out. So once again, we kind of get those like free squares that we've had throughout this like whole COVID DFS situation that we've had going on. Um, so we do have some fighters that we got to keep an eye on. We definitely have a few that we just, like I said, kind of get a free square. So I just had to change up this analysis. Sorry, there was a lot of stuff that went on with basketball this morning. I have to play like an online tournament like right after I record this and post it up. So yeah, I'm gonna get right to it. Try and be a little quick. I'm not gonna go like as in depth as I did last week, just based on how much I got going on today. But let's dive in right now. So the main event, the first fight we got going on is Edmund Shahbazyan versus Derek Brunson. Edmund Shahbazyan is 11-0. Derek Brunson's 20-7. Edmund Shahbazyan's average fantasy points scored is 105.3. Derek Brunson's is 72.1. Edmund Shahbazyan does have a 3-inch reach disadvantage or a 1-inch height advantage. I will have a lot of exposure to Shahbazyan. He has a 91% finish rate. He's been KOing in the first round. He's maturing as a fighter a lot, so I am a little bit worried about his cardio, but he has been maturing and not trying to blow his load. It's the same thing with Brunson. He does have a 3-inch reach advantage. Now, we are in the smaller cage again, so being in the smaller cage, we are going to get a lot more finishes. There's going to be a lot more interaction in the exciting fights. Derek Brunson reminds me of like if you watch like a lot of Pride or old UFC, like Kevin Randleman. He just has some crazy takedowns, just like whipping people around, just ground and pounding them out. So I will only have like a couple shares of Randleman or Derek Brunson. I'm sorry, just because there's so much value on this slate right now. And I do like Shahbazyan's odds, and he does score very well. If Brunson wins, I don't think he will ground and pound him out. Edmund Shahbazyan does have like a really good grappling game and a really good ground game. We just never see it because he just knocks people the hell out because he's so strong. Edmund Shahbazyan was training with like Ronda Rousey when he was like 15. He's like been in that gym with like the Diaz brothers and stuff, like in and out of there. So he has like some very high quality training partners throughout his young lifetime of being a mixed martial artist. So I do like Shahbazyan a lot. We'll have some shares of Brunson only like 20. Next fight, co-main event, we got Jennifer Maia versus Joanne Calderon. Jennifer Maia is 17-6-1. Average fantasy points scored is 47.4. Minus 1.5 reach disadvantage and 2 inches shorter than Calderwood. I'm totally fading Maia. She only has like a 47% finish rate. Joanne Calderon is at 8,700. She's 14-4. Her average point scored is 75. She has a 1.5-inch reach advantage and a 2-inch height advantage. I will get some shares of her, only about 30%. She does land a significant amount of strikes, and she was like a former kickboxing champion. So I do like her odds there. Her finish rate, though, is only like 43%. She does score well just based on the amount of significant strikes she lands. If you're trying to be like a bit contrarian, save some cap space just to leave some money off, say opposed to like Vincente Luke. If you're trying to be like contrarian there, then that's fine. But other than that, I will have some shares of there where I'm like opposed to Luke, but I'm pretty much fading this fight. The third fight up on the card is Randy Brown at 7,400 versus Vincente Luke at 8,800. Randy Brown is 12-3. His average fight point scored is 58.5. He has a 2.5-inch reach advantage and a 4-inch height advantage. He has an 83% finish rate. The winner of this fight is probably in the optimal. I originally had no, but I will get to slight shares. Can't spell. I guess I'll only get to like maybe like 30% of this fight on here also. Just because the winner's fight's in the optimal, so you have to get it right. And he does leave you open value to get different. Vincente Luke, 8,800. You've heard him around. He's a super stud, especially for fantasy-wise. Just his fights are just great to watch. So this would definitely be one you want to tune into. Even if you fade it, if you're like worried about it, have a drink, watch it. It'll be a good time. Vincente Luke's 18-7-1. His average fight point scored is 92. 2.5-inch reach disadvantage and a 4-inch height advantage. I do like him though, just because he swings heavy leather. When he lands, he's good, but Randy Brown can knock him out. He's got 83% finish rate. So the winner of this is definitely in the optimal. I do like this fight a lot. I do like Vincente Luke, but Randy Brown is definitely known to sleep on, like I'm saying. Next fight we got Bobby Green at 8K versus Lando Venata at 8,200. Bobby Green is 25-10-1. His average fantasy points is 64.3. They're basically the same fighter. I'm not liking Bobby Green at a 71% finish rate. Not down with that. On the other side, we got Venata with 11-4-2. His average fantasy points scored is 61.9. I do like Venata a lot, just a little bit. Just 81% finish rate. He does go the distance a lot, and he has gotten some draws, which is knocked down his score. But I can see him taking out Giles here. Or taking out Bobby Green, sorry. Aside from that, I mean, it's not. I'll have some exposure, not a whole lot. But this next fight, Trevin Giles versus Kevin Holland, this is going to be a slugfest. So Trevin Giles 7,300, Kevin Holland's 8,900. Giles is 12-2. His average fantasy points is 69.5. He's a 7-inch reach disadvantage and a 3-inch height disadvantage. I do like him though at 84% finish rate. Now Kevin Holland on the other hand is 17-5. His average fantasy points is 73.4. He does have a 7-inch reach advantage and a 3-inch height advantage. I don't like Kevin Holland just simply because he just got he just had shoulder surgery. It's very hard to say. And he's rushing back really quick. He only had about like 6 months off. So I'm not too keen on that. You can have some shares of him if you are going contrarian with like Randy Brown. You can go up to Holland and fade off Giles if you want to do something like that. Totally fine. Once again, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. I'm just going to try and help you with your process. Give you like a spreadsheet with some information for you to go off of and to develop your own plan of action for tonight. This is going to be a sweet card. The fights in the shorter cage, or smaller cage rather, are typically pretty entertaining, so I think this will be a good night. Next one, we got Jonathan Martinez at 8,600 versus Frankie Saenz at 7,600. Jonathan Martinez is 11-3. His average fantasy points is 55.8. He's got a 4-inch reach advantage and a 2-inch height advantage. I do like him at a 73% finish rate. I think that's not bad. He does take a decision a lot. But I mean, on a fight where you can go contrarian and like who you pick is gonna mean a lot from like your winners, like based on like the points they score. Like if you have someone that goes to decision or opposed to someone that gets like a submission or like a knockout late, lands a lot of significant strikes, your point differential is going to be a lot greater. And the point swings in MMA are a lot. Like especially with cashing, like if you want to cash like your lineups, like for sure 100%. Definitely you have to have 5. You can only have like one of your fighters lose. If you want like to win, like and take down like a tournament, all your fighters have to win. So keep that in mind when you're building these lineups and maintaining these salaries. You also want to be different. You don't want to have like the same exposures as everyone. So you want to mix it up while maintaining the highest probability that all your fighters will win, and you'll be able to sweep the card. It's basically like a 6-leg parlay. That's the best way to figure it out. Frankenstein 7,600, 13-6. His average fantasy points is 55.9. He's got a 4-inch reach disadvantage and a 2-inch height advantage. I don't like that too much. Based on being in the smaller cage, you're probably going to have to stand and bang a lot. Frankenstein's might try and wrestle him out, but I think he might get caught trying to come in, trying to close that distance a bit, take a lot of damage. He's had 6 losses, so he's definitely taking some damage. I do like Jonathan Martinez. Next, we got Gerald Meerschaert at 8,300 versus Ed Shortfree-Sherman at 7,900. Meerschaert's 31-13. This is like a battle of your two drunk uncles at your family picnic. His average fantasy point scored is 66.8. He's got a half. These guys are basically like the same as far as reach and height, advantage and disadvantage to each other. 93% finish rate for Meerschaert, for 81% for Herman on the other end. Herman's 26-14, 62-point average score. Split shares, if anything, if I have any exposure to this fight whatsoever. I'm just a little bit here, a little bit there. I can't really take a stance on anyone. They're both very close. They're both pretty much the same fighter. It's wherever you land in your salary, wherever your comfort level is. I personally don't feel comfortable in this fight. So maybe like 1 or 2 lineups in my 50-50s. I probably won't have like if you have like a tournament lineup, like the winner might be on the optimal in a tournament lineup strictly based on where their salaries are at and because no one else will have exposure. So keep that in mind building your tournament lineups. But 50-50s, I'm just going to stay away from this fight. If you play on FanDuel at all, I personally play on DraftKings majority of the time, but I have been dabbling in some FanDuel MMA. If you play on FanDuel 50-50s are where it's at with MMA. That's all I'll say about that. That's my advice. Don't want to get struck off YouTube. Next fight, we got fighters that had some short notice stuff going on. So we got Nate Maness at 7,200 versus Johnny Munoz, also at 7,200. Nate Maness is 11-1, Johnny Munoz 10-0. They don't have the stats up on Munoz. Both these guys are making their debut, but Munoz just took this fight off short notice. He is the King of the Cage champion, facing Nate Maness, who is also the champion in another organization. I honestly just forgot where the hell it was. Nate Maness has a 54% finish rate. You kind of also have to split shares of this, but you like have to have this fight in your lineup strictly based on price and based on the winner's going to be in the optimal. Like there's no doubt about it. I do like Munoz a lot, being 10-0 coming in, but Nate Maness is like huge for the weight class. So we'll see. This is moved up to featherweight, I believe they said. So Nate Maness, who was actually training for a fight and didn't have to make like any weight cut really, or not as severe, whereas Munoz took this fight on like a handful days notice and had to make a weight cut and probably wasn't like training actively, like probably being a champ, maintaining like an aggressive physical shape while being in like somewhat like fight shape, quote unquote, but you're not like going through like a camp where you know you're going to be in a fight. There's two completely different things. With that in mind, I do like Maness a bit more, but I definitely will have like a few shares of Munoz. I feel like kind of got to, just so you don't get like completely hosed on that fight. Next, we got another fight with some short notice with Vince Cachero 6,900 going against Jamal Emmers at 7,800. Vince Cachero 7-2. He's making this debut, taking this fight at completely short notice. I will not have any exposure to this guy. Jamal Emmers, on the other hand, usually has won by decision, 40 fantasy points. Once again, I can't really quote the height and reach just because they didn't have that up. But he should be part of my core. Someone who's taking this fight on a few days' notice, and if he wins, he will be in the optimal. He should win. Really hoping he does, and Cachero doesn't pull a mad upset, because I will have like a lot of shares of Emmers. That's what you should do. I'm not saying that, but that's just where I am. Last fight of the night, the first fight of the night, opening the prelims, but the last fight I'll go over, the 10th fight. Cody Durden at 7K, facing Chris Gutierrez at 9,200. Cody Durden is 11-2, facing Chris Gutierrez, 15-3-1. Cody Durden is making his debut, but he did have a 90% finish rate. He can be a very sneaky value play based on being in the short cage. But Chris Gutierrez was styling last time we saw him. He won by leg kick KO just like 6 weeks or so ago. So keep that in mind. That's probably someone who will get a lot of exposure. So if you do want to be contrarian and you want to fade Chris Gutierrez and maybe try and take a value on Durden having a 90% finish rate with opposed to Gutierrez as a 54% finish rate, you can go for it. It seems hard to get to the price point at first, like depending on if you want to go mid-range or if you want to go like a more of a value. But I do like Gutierrez. I also like Durden. Have also a couple split shares. Going to be a little more partial to Gutierrez, just based on I feel like he'll probably be some good chalk. So there's also in DFS always good chalk and bad chalk. If there's good chalk, you do definitely want to be on the side of it. Strictly because if you're not and like it blows up and he gets like 110 points, has some good chalk and you don't have him and you have someone else opposed that like wins by decision, they only get 60 points, that 50-point swing is going to cost you a lot of money. So you want to be mindful of that. You want to be mindful of the exposure, ownership of these fighters. So yeah, that's all I got. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Good luck tonight. Be mindful of any of the news that went on. Just double check any existing lineups that you have just to make sure that you don't have anyone in who's not in. I had to clear a couple lineups this morning and then redo them, so I totally get it. Just be mindful of that. Once again, this was Dave here for No Coast Fantasy Sports. Really appreciate you guys. Please like, subscribe, follow. All of it's free. Really helps with growing the brand, being an independent sports content creator, and just getting my name out there, doing what I like to do and doing what I enjoy for a living. We all want to do that, so I'm just trying to accomplish my goal in that. So thank you. Good luck. Hit me up on any of my social media platforms. I'll post that down below. Some screenshots. You want to holler at me, any questions, just, talk about DFS. I'm all about it. Brush my teeth to this shit. So, love you guys. Stay well. Be safe out there. Have a good one. Enjoy the card. Enjoy basketball. Enjoy sports being back. Hockey. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have some good times coming up.